Emma worked as a repair technician at the local manufacturing plant. She could fix almost anything mechanical and took pride in her skills. Her co-workers often joked that she could bring dead machines back to life with just a wrench and some wire. The forest was dark, but Emma followed the trail of broken trees and disturbed earth. The smell of burning metal and strange chemicals filled the air as she approached the crash site. What she found was nothing like she expected. A small craft unlike anything human-made lay partially buried in the soft forest floor. Its smooth metallic surface shimmered with an iridescent glow, despite the damage. The design was elegant with no visible seams or joints. It looked almost organic, rather than constructed. Emma approached carefully, looking for signs of life. A section of the craft had split open, revealing the interior. She peered inside and gasped. A figure lay motionless amid the wreckage. Emma reached in and checked for signs of life. The skin beneath. Her fingers felt warm but strangely textured, almost like fine scales. The figure suddenly moved. Emma jumped back as two large almond-shaped eyes opened. They were entirely silver with no visible pupil or iris. The being tried to move but winced in pain. Emma noticed that the armor-like suit covering the being was damaged, with several components sparking and leaking a bluish fluid. The being spoke in a musical language Emma couldn't understand. She held up her hands in a peaceful gesture and pointed to her toolkit, then to the damaged armor. The being seemed to understand and nodded slowly. Emma examined the damaged suit. It seemed to be not just protective clothing, but some kind of life support system. The technology was far beyond anything she had seen, but the basic principles of mechanics and electronics still applied. She could see where connections had been severed and where power sources were failing. Working carefully, Emma used her tools to reconnect broken circuits, bypass damaged sections, and seal leaking components. The being watched her work, occasionally guiding her hands when she hesitated over unfamiliar technology. Hours passed as Emma worked. The forest grew quiet around them, save for the occasional spark from the damaged suit. Finally, the main control panel on the suit stopped flashing red and stabilized to a steady blue glow. The being's breathing became more regular. The alien reached for a small device on their wrist and pressed several symbols. A soft light scanned Emma from head to toe. Then the device spoke in perfect English. "Thank you for saving my life. My name is Lyra. I am a scout from the Stellar Confederation." Emma introduced herself, still amazed that she was talking to an actual alien. Lyra explained that her ship had been damaged during a routine survey mission of the solar system. Her species had been observing Earth from a distance for decades, but had never made direct contact. Lyra's appearance was both alien and strangely beautiful. Her skin had a subtle blue shimmer. Her face was humanoid, but with more pronounced cheekbones and no visible ears. Instead, she had small sensory organs along the sides of her head. Her body was slender and tall, nearly 7 feet in height. "Without your help, my suit would have failed," Lyra said. "Earth's atmosphere contains elements toxic to my biology." Emma helped Lyra to her feet. The alien was unsteady, but the repaired suit seemed to be functioning properly. Now, Emma faced a dilemma. Lyra needed to contact her people, but her communication equipment was damaged in the crash. They would need more tools and parts than Emma had brought with her. "We need to get you somewhere safe," Emma said. "My workshop has everything we need to fix your communicator." Lyra hesitated, clearly concerned about being seen. Emma explained that her workshop was in a private garage behind her house. No one would see them there. Lyra agreed, though she was clearly uncomfortable with the idea. Getting back to Emma's house proved challenging. Lyra was weakened from her ordeal and much taller than Emma. The forest terrain was difficult to navigate in the dark. They moved slowly, with Emma supporting Lyra whenever she stumbled. When they finally reached Emma's property, dawn was breaking. Lyra's suit had a stealth function that was still operational. It bent light around her, making her nearly invisible, but the effect was imperfect and flickered occasionally. They hurried to the workshop before anyone could see them. Emma's workshop was cluttered with mechanical projects, parts, and tools. She cleared a space for Lyra to rest while she examined the damaged communication device from the ship. The technology was incredibly advanced, but Emma recognized certain components that served similar functions to Earth technology. Lyra watched with interest as Emma worked. The alien seemed surprised by Emma's ability to understand and work with the unfamiliar technology. Emma explained her lifelong fascination with mechanics and electronics, how she could often intuit how things worked just by studying them. Lyra's silver eyes seemed to see through Emma. "I sense something unusual about you," she said. "My people can perceive energy patterns. Most humans have similar patterns, but yours is different. Stronger, more adaptive. It's why you can understand our technology so easily." Emma wasn't sure what to make of this. She had always felt different somehow, set apart from others by her unusual abilities with machinery. But she had never considered there might be something fundamentally different about her. As Emma worked on the communicator, Lyra told her about the Stellar Confederation, an alliance of spacefaring species dedicated to peaceful exploration and mutual protection. Earth was in a restricted zone, not to be contacted until humanity reached certain technological and social milestones. Lyra's mission had been to observe and report on human progress. When her ship malfunctioned, she had tried to reach an uninhabited area before crashing. By midday, Emma had managed to repair the basic functions of the communicator. Lyra sent a brief message to her ship in orbit. The response was immediate. Her crew would send a retrieval vessel, but it would take 2 planetary rotations to reach Earth without being detected. Emma realized she would be hosting an alien visitor for the next 2 days. The thought was both terrifying and exciting. Lyra needed a safe place to recover and wait for rescue. Emma's isolated house at the edge of town was perfect. But keeping Lyra's presence secret would be challenging. As the sun set on the first day, Emma and Lyra sat in the workshop sharing stories of their worlds. Emma was fascinated by Lyra's descriptions of planets with twin suns, oceans of liquid metal, and cities built into the sides of mountains. Lyra was equally interested in Emma's life, her work, and human society. There was something in Lyra's silver eyes when she looked at Emma, something that made Emma's heart beat faster. She told herself it was just the excitement of meeting an alien, but deep down she knew it was more than that. A connection was forming between them, one that transcended their different worlds. "Now, let me create part 2 for you." The morning sun filtered through the workshop windows. Emma had spent the night on a cot next to her workbench, wanting to stay close to Lyra. She awoke to find the alien examining the various tools and projects scattered around the space. "Emma, you have remarkable skills with primitive technology," Lyra said. "Your ability to repair my suit with such basic tools is unprecedented." Emma smiled at what was clearly meant as a compliment, despite the reference to her tools as primitive. She checked the repairs on Lyra's suit. The systems were stable, but several components were still damaged. Lyra explained that her suit was more than protective clothing. It regulated her body temperature, filtered the air she breathed, and administered necessary nutrients. Her species had evolved in an environment very different from Earth. Without the suit, she could survive only minutes in Earth's atmosphere. The realization of how vulnerable Lyra was made Emma even more determined to keep her safe until rescue arrived. She checked the repaired communicator. The signal from Lyra's ship was steady. They confirmed that the retrieval vessel would arrive the following night. Emma needed to go to work to avoid suspicion, but was reluctant to leave Lyra alone. Lyra assured her that she would remain in the workshop and continue repairing her equipment. Emma provided food, water, and entertainment in the form of books and a tablet computer with internet access, carefully explaining to Lyra to avoid any communication that might reveal her presence. At work, Emma was distracted. Her mind kept returning to the alien, waiting in her workshop. Her supervisor, Olivia, noticed and asked if everything was all right. Emma made an excuse about a personal project keeping her up at night, which wasn't entirely untrue. By the time Emma returned home, she was anxious to check on Lyra. She found the alien deeply engrossed in information about Earth culture, history, and science. Lyra had questions about everything from human art to political systems. Emma did her best to explain the complexities of human society. "I find your species fascinating," Lyra said. "You are so young compared to the Confederation worlds, yet you have accomplished so much. Despite your technological limitations, You create beautiful art complex societies and innovative solutions to problems. Emma was touched by Lyra's genuine interest in humanity. Most humans would probably focus on the advanced technology of alien civilizations, but Lyra seemed truly impressed by human creativity and resilience. As evening approached, Emma prepared a simple meal for herself. Lyra explained that her suit provided all the nutrition she needed, but she was curious about human food. Emma described the tastes and textures of different foods, Lyra listening with rapt attention. Their conversation flowed easily. Moving from topic to topic, Emma found herself sharing things she rarely discussed with anyone. Her dreams of someday creating her own inventions. Her feeling of never quite fitting in with others, her sense that she was meant for something more than life. In a small town, Lyra shared stories of her own world, a planet with 2 moons and vast oceans. She described cities of crystal and living architecture where buildings grew and changed to suit the needs of inhabitants. She spoke of her role as a scout exploring new worlds and making first contact with emerging civilizations. As night fell, Lyra received another transmission from her ship. The retrieval vessel was on schedule, but there was a complication. An automated Earth satellite had detected unusual activity in orbit. The Confederation ship was taking evasive action to avoid detection, but this might delay the rescue. Emma suggested they move Lyra's damaged craft. It was still partially exposed in the forest, and if anyone found it, there would be questions. She had access to a truck from work that could transport the smaller pieces. The cover of darkness would provide some protection. Together, they returned to the crash site, Lyra's stealth function, keeping her hidden from any curious eyes. The craft was smaller than Emma had initially thought, perhaps 15 feet long and 8 feet wide. They carefully disconnected the remaining intact pieces and loaded them onto Emma's truck, covering everything with a tarp as they worked. Lyra explained more about her mission. The Confederation had been monitoring Earth for centuries, watching humanity's development. She was part of a team assessing whether Earth was ready for first contact. The official determination was not yet, but Lyra admitted she had her doubts about the policy. Humans have such potential. Lyra said, "Some in the Confederation fear your warlike tendencies, but I see beyond that. I see your capacity for growth, compassion, and understanding. I believe contact would benefit both our peoples." They returned to Emma's workshop with the salvaged parts of the craft, Emma helping Lyra integrate them with the communicator to strengthen the signal to her ship. The work was delicate and complex, but Emma's intuitive understanding of the technology continued to impress Lyra. "There's something I must tell you," Lyra said suddenly. Her silver eyes seemed to shimmer in the dim light of the workshop. "Among my people, there is a belief in soul resonance. The idea that certain individuals across different species can share a harmonic energy pattern. It is extremely rare, but when it occurs, it creates a bond that transcends physical differences." Emma felt her heart race, sensing where this conversation was heading. "I believe we share such a resonance," Lyra continued. "When you repaired my suit, I felt an energy transfer between us. Your bioelectric field harmonized with mine. It's why you can understand our technology. So intuitively, our energy patterns are compatible." Emma wasn't sure how to respond. The connection she felt to Lyra had seemed immediate and profound, but she had attributed it to the extraordinary circumstances of meeting an alien. She had never considered there might be a deeper metaphysical explanation. Lyra reached out her hand, hovering it above Emma's arm. Without touching, a visible energy field extended between them like static electricity, but controlled and purposeful. Emma felt a warm, tingling sensation spread through her body. "This is physical proof of our resonance," Lyra said. "Among my people, this would be celebrated as a rare and precious thing, but I am leaving tomorrow. I may never return to Earth." The reality of their situation hit Emma hard. She had found something extraordinary, a connection that defied understanding, only to lose it almost immediately. The thought of Lyra leaving created an unexpected ache in her chest. "Perhaps," Emma suggested, "I could go with you." The words surprised even Emma herself. She had never considered leaving Earth, leaving behind everything and everyone she knew. But the thought of never seeing Lyra again was somehow more frightening than the unknown of space. Lyra's expression softened. That would be unprecedented. No human has ever been invited to the Confederation, yet our resonance might provide justification. I would need approval from my superiors. They spent the rest of the evening discussing the possibilities. Lyra explaining what life among the Confederation would entail, the technologies Emma would encounter, the different species she would meet, the wonders of planets beyond imagination. As midnight approached, Emma realized she was seriously considering leaving her world behind for a life among the stars with someone she had known for barely 2 days, yet the connection between them felt more real than relationships she had built over years. Let me create part 3 for you. The second day of Lyra's stay brought new challenges. Emma called in sick to work, knowing she couldn't focus with the retrieval vessel arriving that night. She spent the morning helping Lyra prepare the signal beacon that would guide her people to the right location. As they worked, Lyra received an urgent communication from her ship Earth's military had detected. The Confederation vessel, despite its cloaking technology, fighter jets had been scrambled to investigate the unusual readings. The retrieval plan was now in jeopardy. We need a different location. Lyra said somewhere isolated away from population, centers and military bases. Emma suggested an abandoned quarry 20 miles outside of town. She had explored it as a teenager. The high rock walls would provide cover from prying eyes, and the open central area was large enough for a small ship to land. The new plan set, they turned to the question of Emma possibly leaving Earth. Lyra had consulted with her captain. The soul resonance between them was considered significant enough to warrant consideration, but there were protocols to follow. Emma would need to undergo evaluation by Confederation scientists. If you choose to come with me, Lyra explained, there's no guarantee you would be allowed to return. Earth is in a protected zone. Contact is strictly regulated. Even with our resonance, the Council might deny permission. Emma tried to process what leaving would really mean. She had no close family. Her parents had died years ago. She had friends, but no deep attachments. Her life was comfortable, but not fulfilling. She had always felt she was meant for something more. Was this it? As Emma contemplated this life-changing decision, they received another alert from Lyra's ship. A government research team was investigating the crash site in the forest. Someone had reported seeing strange lights. The situation was becoming increasingly dangerous. We need to leave now, Lyra said. The retrieval vessel can land early after dark, but we must be at the quarry. They packed quickly, Emma throwing some clothes and personal items into a backpack, along with food and water. She hesitated over what else to bring. What do you take when leaving your planet, possibly forever? She grabbed her toolkit, some family photos, and a small box of keepsakes. The damaged pieces of Lyra's craft were still in the truck. Emma covered them with additional tarps, securing everything tightly. They couldn't risk anything being seen during the drive. As they prepared to leave, Emma's phone rang. It was Olivia, her supervisor, checking on her because she'd missed work. Emma made excuses about being ill, her mind racing. Olivia mentioned that there were strange people in town, government types asking questions about unusual sightings in the area. After ending the call, Emma hurriedly shut down her house, turning off the main water and electricity. She left a note for her landlord, claiming a family emergency had called her away. It felt surreal, like she was sleepwalking through the motions of leaving her life behind. They set out for the quarry with Lyra, hidden under blankets in the passenger seat. The drive was tense. Every passing police car made Emma's heart race. She took back roads, avoiding the main highway where there might be checkpoints. The sun was setting as they reached the quarry. Emma drove down the steep access road into the main pit. The high walls of exposed rock rose around them, creating a natural bowl. The place was eerily quiet, abandoned years ago. When the mining company went bankrupt, Lyra set up the signal beacon using parts from her damaged craft. The small device pulsed with a soft blue light, visible only to those who knew what to look for. She assured Emma that the Confederation ship would detect it and home in on their location. As darkness fell, they sat in the truck waiting. Lyra explained more about what Emma could expect if she joined her. Her life in the Confederation would be one of study at first, Learning about the various species' technologies and customs, she would be the first human to experience. These things a pioneer and ambassador of sorts, Emma would have access to medical technology that could extend her life considerably, though not to the centuries that some Confederation species lived. She would never age in the way humans on Earth. The thought was both exhilarating and terrifying. What about us? Emma asked, finally addressing the unspoken question between them. This resonance. What does it mean for our relationship? Among my people, Lyra explained, resonance partners often form lifelong bonds, not always romantic in the human sense, but deeply connected. Their energies strengthen each other. They become more together than they could ever be apart. Such bonds are considered sacred. Emma felt her chest tighten. The depth of what Lyra was describing went beyond anything she had experienced in human relationships. It was more than attraction, more than compatibility. It was a fundamental harmony at the energy level of their beings. As they talked, a light appeared in the sky above. Different from a star or airplane, it moved with purpose, descending slowly toward the quarry. A ship emerged from the clouds, its surface reflecting the moonlight. It was larger than Lyra's scout craft, but still relatively small, perhaps the size of a small passenger plane. Its design was similar, with the same organic flowing lines. The ship hovered silently before settling on the quarry floor. A door appeared in its seamless hull, sliding open to reveal a ramp. Lyra squeezed Emma's hand, a gesture she had learned was comforting to humans. "This is the moment of choice," Lyra said. "You can still stay. No one would blame you." Emma looked at the alien ship, then back at her truck, the symbol of her old life. Everything she knew was in one direction, everything she could imagine in the other. Her heart raced with fear and excitement. She had always felt different, now she knew why. Her connection to Lyra proved she was meant for more than an ordinary human life. Before Emma could answer, the quiet was shattered by the sound of helicopters. The thudding of rotors echoed off the quarry walls. Spotlights swept the area. Lyra's ship had been spotted despite its advanced technology. "We must decide now," Lyra urged. "The ship cannot stay long." In that moment of crisis, everything became clear to Emma. She grabbed her backpack and Lyra's hand. Together, they ran for the ship. The ramp was warm beneath Emma's feet as they hurried aboard. The door sealed behind them, shutting out the noise of the approaching helicopters. Inside the ship was a single room with control panels and seats designed for bodies different from human. The walls pulsed with soft light. Two other aliens, similar to Lyra, but with subtle differences in height and coloring, welcomed them with formal gestures. The ship rose quickly. Emma felt a strange sensation, as if gravity had momentarily forgotten her. The quarry fell away beneath them. Emma caught a glimpse of military vehicles arriving too late. The ship accelerated and the sky darkened from blue to indigo to black in seconds. Stars appeared, thousands more than Emma had ever seen from Earth. Through a viewing panel, she watched her planet recede, becoming a blue marble, then a distant point of light. Tears formed in her eyes, not of regret but of wonder. She had left everything she knew but gained the universe. The other crew members gave them space, recognizing the significance of the moment. Lyra stood beside Emma, their energy fields intermingling, creating visible patterns of light between them. "Welcome to your new life," Lyra said, her voice filled with emotion. Emma felt a surge of something beyond happiness, a sense of rightness, of destiny fulfilled. She had repaired broken alien armor and in doing so had found her place in the cosmos. In Lyra, she had found a connection that transcended species and worlds. The ship accelerated toward a larger vessel waiting in the shadow of the moon. From there, they would travel to the Confederation homeworlds. Emma would be the first human to see these distant stars, not through a telescope, but with her own eyes. And she would see them with Lyra by her side, their energies in perfect harmony. "Now, let me create part 4 for you." The Confederation mothership was a marvel of engineering. Emma stood in awe as their small vessel docked in a vast hangar filled with ships of various designs. The mothership itself was the size of a small city, with sections that rotated to create artificial gravity. Emma stepped from the transport ship into a new world. Lyra beside her. The air had a slightly sweet scent and the gravity felt lighter than Earth. The hangar bustled with activity. Aliens of different species moved purposefully around the docking area. Some resembled Lyra, with variations in skin color and height. Others were completely different, from anything Emma could have imagined. Many stopped to stare at Emma. The first human most had ever seen Lyra stayed close, explaining in a low voice that while humans were known to the Confederation, actual contact was extremely rare. Emma felt like an exhibit in a zoo. But Lyra's presence was comforting. They were met by a delegation of officials. Lyra introduced them, explaining each one's role and species. The leader was Varen, a tall, dignified being with features similar to Lyra's but with skin that shifted colors as they spoke. Emma learned this was a natural form of expression among their species. Varen addressed Emma in perfect English. "Welcome to the Stellar Confederation. Your presence here is unprecedented. We have much to discuss." Emma was escorted to medical facilities for examination. The Confederation doctors were fascinated by human physiology, taking samples and scans. They confirmed what Lyra had discovered, the unusual energy pattern that allowed Emma to connect with Confederation technology and with Lyra herself. "The resonance between you is the strongest I've ever recorded," said the chief medical officer. Her skin pulsed with blue patterns indicating amazement. "It extends beyond the normal parameters, even between our own species. Such connections are rare. Between different species, it's almost unheard of." After the medical examination, Emma was assigned quarters near Lyra's. The room adjusted to her needs as she entered. Temperature, lighting, even the furniture reshaped itself to better suit human ergonomics. A viewport showed the stars outside, unfiltered by atmosphere. The sight took Emma's breath away. Lyra visited later, bringing garments designed for Emma. They were made of a material that felt like silk but stronger, and with slight luminescence. Lyra explained that the clothing would help protect Emma from environmental factors that might be harmful to humans. "I have reported to the council." Lyra said, "They are considering your case. Your presence here violates protocols, but the resonance between us provides justification. They will want to interview you." Emma spent the next few days learning about her new environment. Lyra was assigned as her guide and translator. Though many Confederation members spoke English through their translation devices, the cultural context was often missing. Lyra helped bridge those gaps. Emma learned that the Confederation comprised 17 spacefaring species, united by common principles of peaceful exploration, scientific advancement, and mutual defense. Earth was in a sector of space that the Confederation monitored but did not directly contact. Human development was tracked and evaluated, but the species was considered too volatile for full disclosure. "Your people have great potential," Varen told Emma during a formal dinner. "But you still fight among yourselves over resources, territory, and ideology. The Confederation cannot risk contact until humanity resolves these conflicts." Emma wanted to argue that humans weren't all warlike, that many worked for peace and understanding, but she knew there was truth in Varen's words. Humans had accomplished much but still struggled with division and violence. Throughout these discussions, Lyra remained by Emma's side. Their resonance had become stronger. The energy field between them, visible to others of Lyra's species, marked them as bonded in a way that transcended physical relationships. It was a joining at the most fundamental level. One evening, as they stood at the viewport watching a nebula pass by, Lyra presented Emma with a small crystal pendant. "This is a resonance crystal," she explained. "It will help stabilize your energy field and strengthen our connection. It also marks you as my bonded partner." Emma accepted the pendant, feeling it warm against her skin. As Lyra placed it around her neck, their energy fields merged briefly, creating a display of light that illuminated the entire room. Emma felt Lyra's emotions, joy, nervousness, hope, as if they were her own. The experience was overwhelming but beautiful. "The council has reached a decision," Lyra announced the next day. Emma would be allowed to stay with the Confederation as the first human representative. She would undergo education and training, learning about Confederation technology, culture, and history. In return, she would share knowledge about humanity, giving the Confederation greater insight into Earth's dominant species. There was one condition: Emma would need to undergo a procedure to prevent her from sharing certain advanced technologies if she ever returned to Earth. It wouldn't erase her memories, but would create a block, preventing her from reproducing or explaining technologies that could disrupt Earth's development. Emma agreed to the terms. The opportunity to explore the stars, to learn from advanced civilizations, to be with Lyra was worth the restrictions, and there was the possibility that someday, when humanity was ready, she might serve as a bridge between her birth world and her adopted one. Emma's training began immediately. She spent hours each day learning the fundamentals of Confederation science, concepts that went beyond Earth physics, theories that unified forces humans still considered separate. Lyra was often her teacher, patient and encouraging. Some concepts came naturally to Emma. The resonance that connected her to Lyra also gave her intuitive understanding of certain technologies. She found she could operate Confederation devices with minimal instruction. Sometimes she knew how things worked before they were explained to her. The scientists were fascinated by this ability, studying how her energy field interacted with their technology. Emma also learned about the Confederation's structure: 17 member species, each with their own homeworlds, colonies, and traditions, united by common goals and technologies but maintaining their unique cultures. The Confederation was governed by a council with representatives from each species. Decisions required consensus with provisions for mediation when disagreements arose. Lyra's species, the Alari, were founding members of the Confederation. Their natural ability to perceive and manipulate energy fields had made them instrumental in developing the technologies that enabled interstellar travel. They were respected as diplomats and scientists, their ability to sense emotions through energy fields making them natural mediators. As weeks passed, Emma became more integrated into Confederation life. She made friends among various species, learning their customs and sharing human traditions in return. She taught them Earth games, music, and art, finding universal appreciation for human creativity. Her relationship with Lyra deepened. Their resonance bond strengthened, allowing them to sense each other's emotions and sometimes even thoughts across great distances. It was more intimate than any human relationship Emma had experienced, yet also more respectful of individual identity. The bond enhanced rather than diminished who they were as individuals. The mothership eventually reached a Confederation hub world, a planet with 3 moons and rings, similar to Saturn. Emma watched from orbit as they approached the world where she would live while continuing her education. The planet's surface showed vast oceans, geometric patterns of cities, and large areas of untouched wilderness. Before they could descend to the surface, alarms sounded throughout the ship. A fleet of unknown vessels had appeared at the edge of the system. Their design was unlike any Confederation ship, aggressive and angular with weapons clearly visible. The Scourge Varen announced, their skin pulsing red with alarm. A species from beyond Confederation space known for raiding worlds and stealing technology. They had clashed with the Confederation before, but never ventured this far into protected space. The mothership changed course, moving away from the planet as defense systems activated. Emma watched in horror as smaller ships launched. From the mothership heading toward the approaching fleet, Lyra was called to duty. Her skills as a scout made her valuable in assessing the threat. Emma waited anxiously in their quarters, feeling helpless. She could sense Lyra's focus and determination. Through their bond, but little else. The sounds of the ship changed as systems diverted power to defenses. Emma had never considered that her new life might include conflict. Hours passed before Lyra returned, her expression grim. The Scourge had been driven back, but at a cost. Several Confederation ships had been damaged. Lyra herself had engaged in direct combat, her scout ship's speed and maneuverability, making it effective against the larger enemy vessels. "I never wanted you to see this side of Confederation life," Lyra said. "We are peaceful by nature, but we will defend our worlds and people." Emma realized there was still much she didn't know about her new home and about Lyra. Despite their resonance bond, there were aspects of Confederation life she was only beginning to understand. She had left behind one world with its conflicts, only to find that even among the stars, peace was not guaranteed. That night, as they watched the 3 moons of the hub world rise over the horizon, Lyra made a promise to Emma. Whatever challenges they faced, they would face them together. Their resonance bond had brought them across the gulf of space. It would see them through whatever lay ahead. Finally, let me create part 5 for you. 3 months into her life with the Confederation, Emma had adapted better than anyone expected. She now lived with Lyra in a dwelling on the hub world of Australis. The structure was partly grown, partly built, incorporating living materials that responded to their needs. Their home sat on a cliff, overlooking a vast purple ocean where 2 suns set in sequence, casting the water in brilliant shades of gold and crimson. Emma's days were filled with learning. She attended the Confederation Academy, studying alongside beings from all 17 member species. She struggled with some concepts, particularly those involving dimensions beyond the 3 humans perceived naturally. But her natural affinity for technology and the boost from her resonance with Lyra helped her advance quickly. Emma's instructors were impressed by her adaptability. Unlike most species introduced to Confederation technology, humans seemed particularly suited to intuitive leaps, bypassing established methods to find novel solutions. Her work on modifying a standard environmental suit to better accommodate human physiology had earned recognition from the Academy's engineering division. Lyra had returned to active duty with the Scout Corps, but remained based on Australis to stay close to Emma. Their resonance bond had continued to strengthen. With practice, Emma had learned to sense Lyra's emotional state across great distances, sometimes even catching glimpses of what Lyra was seeing when their connection was at its strongest. The threat of the Scourge remained. Reports of their ships had increased in Confederation space. The Council was concerned enough to increase patrols and strengthen planetary defenses. Emma worried whenever Lyra was assigned to reconnaissance missions, but understood the importance of her work. One evening, as they shared a meal in their dwelling overlooking the ocean, Emma received her first official Confederation assignment. She would join a research team studying the Scourge. The team believed her human perspective might provide fresh insights. "This is a great honor." Lyra said, her skin pulsing with patterns of pride and excitement. Few newcomers are invited to join such sensitive research. Emma felt both flattered and nervous. The research facility was on a different world, requiring her to leave Australis for the first time since her arrival. Though their resonance bond would allow her to maintain contact with Lyra, the physical separation would be their first since meeting on Earth. The research facility orbited a gas giant in a neighboring system. Emma traveled there aboard a science vessel, marveling at the experience of faster-than-light travel. The scientists had explained the principles to her, but experiencing the transition as space itself folded around the ship was indescribable. The facility was a ring-shaped structure with multiple laboratories. The team Emma joined comprised specialists from 7 different Confederation species. Their task was to analyze Scourge technology and tactics, seeking weaknesses that could be exploited in defense. Emma brought a unique perspective to the team. The Confederation scientists approached problems methodically, building on established knowledge. Emma's human tendency to make intuitive leaps, sometimes bypassing logical steps, led to unexpected insights. Her experience repairing Lyra's suit with primitive Earth tools had demonstrated her ability to adapt technology across vastly different tech levels. The team's leader, Director Narration, recognized Emma's potential and assigned her to study captured Scourge communication devices. The technology was advanced but fundamentally different from Confederation systems, where Confederation tech was based on energy field manipulation and bioelectronic interfaces. Scourge technology relied on brute computational power and synthetic materials. Working with the devices, Emma made a startling discovery. The Scourge communications contained embedded patterns similar to those used in early human binary code. The patterns were subtle but unmistakable to someone familiar with Earth computing. She brought her findings to Director Narration. "This suggests a connection between the Scourge and Earth." Narration said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of deep thought. "Perhaps they visited your world in the distant past, or perhaps it's convergent evolution, similar solutions arising independently." Further analysis revealed more connections. The Scourge language structure, though alien, showed similarities to certain Earth languages, particularly those with aggressive, tonal patterns. Their numerical system used a base 10 format uncommon among Confederation species, but standard on Earth. Emma's discovery led to a troubling hypothesis. The scourge might have visited Earth in the past, possibly influencing human development. The implications were serious enough that the Confederation Council convened an emergency session. Emma was summoned to present her findings. The council chamber was intimidating. A vast, circular room with representatives from all 17 member species. Emma stood before them, feeling the weight of her discovery. As she explained the connections between scourge and human communications, she could sense the growing concern among the council members. If the scourge influenced Earth's development, Varen said, then the quarantine protocols may have been protecting the wrong side. The scourge might see humans as potential allies or resources. The council debated the implications. Some argued for increasing the quarantine around Earth, protecting humans from scourge influence. Others suggested the opposite, initiating contact with Earth, warning them of the potential threat. Emma listened, feeling torn between her human heritage and her new life in the Confederation. The debate was interrupted by an urgent message. Scourge vessels had been detected heading toward Earth's solar system. The pattern suggested not a raiding party, but an invasion force. Their target appeared to be Earth itself. Emma felt a cold dread. The scourge had weapons and technology far beyond Earth's defenses. If they attacked, humanity would have no chance. She thought of the people she had left behind: friends, co-workers, strangers going about their lives unaware of the danger approaching from the stars. I request permission to warn Earth, Emma said, addressing the council. We cannot allow the scourge to attack an undefended world, regardless of past connections. The council was divided. Such intervention violated their most sacred protocols regarding developing worlds. Yet allowing the scourge to attack Earth unchallenged violated their principles of protection and defense. Lyra, who had been summoned to the council session, stood by Emma, her support evident in the energy patterns flowing between them. Together they argued for intervention. Not full contact, but enough to help Earth prepare defenses. After hours of debate, the council reached a compromise. A small team would be sent to Earth. Their mission to warn key human leaders and provide limited defensive technology enough to repel the scourge, but not so advanced as to drastically alter Earth's development path. Emma would lead the mission, with Lyra as her second in command. The preparation was rushed. Emma was equipped with devices that would allow her to contact certain government officials without being intercepted or tracked. She would need to convince Earth's leaders of the threat, without causing panic or revealing the full extent of the Confederation's existence. The mission carried enormous risk. If they failed, the scourge might conquer Earth. If they revealed too much about the Confederation, they might irreversibly alter humanity's development. Either outcome would be catastrophic. Before departing, Emma and Lyra stood together at a viewport watching the stars. Their resonance bond pulsed with shared emotions: fear, hope, determination, love. The bond had brought them together across the gulf between their worlds. Now it would help them protect Earth from a threat humans had never imagined. Your world gave me you, Lyra said. Now we will give your world a chance. The journey to Earth was tense. Confederation sensors tracked the scourge fleet. They were moving faster than expected, leaving Emma's team little time to implement their plan. As they approached Earth's solar system, they activated their stealth systems, avoiding detection by both human and scourge technology. Emma felt strange returning to Earth after months among the stars. The blue planet looked both familiar and alien now. She knew secrets about the universe that would change humanity forever. Yet she was returning not to share knowledge, but to prevent destruction. Their ship landed in a remote area similar to where Lyra had crashed. Emma now understood why Lyra had chosen such an isolated spot for her emergency landing. The team quickly established a secure base of operations. Using Confederation technology, they sent encrypted messages to selected officials in major world governments. The responses were predictably skeptical. Many ignored the warnings, dismissing them as hoaxes. Others responded with threats demanding more information. Emma realized that more direct action would be necessary. She arranged meetings with officials who had shown interest using Confederation technology to bypass security and appear in secure locations. She showed them evidence of the approaching scourge, fleet sensor readings, visual confirmation, and projections of Earth's defensive capabilities against their weapons. The evidence was compelling enough that several key nations began mobilizing their militaries, though publicly claiming it was just an exercise. Lyra and the team worked to adapt Confederation defensive technology to interface with Earth's satellite systems. The modifications would allow human weapons to penetrate scourge shields, giving Earth a fighting chance. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it might be enough to drive the invaders away as they worked against time. Emma felt the weight of her dual identity. She was human, but no longer only human. Her life with the Confederation had changed her in fundamental ways. She understood the universe differently now, saw patterns and connections invisible to most humans. Yet Earth was still her birthplace, still held a special place in her heart. The Scourge fleet entered the solar system earlier than projected. They moved with purpose, heading directly for Earth. Earth's modified defenses were not yet fully operational. Emma and Lyra worked frantically to complete the final adjustments in orbit above Earth. The first Scourge ships appeared, like dark shadows against the stars, their angular forms bristling with weapons. They began jamming communications, disrupting power grids, preparing for a full-scale invasion. Emma activated the defensive network. As Scourge weapons fired, the modified shields absorbed and redirected the energy. Earth's military forces, coordinated through systems Emma had helped implement, launched counterattacks. Their weapons now capable of penetrating Scourge defenses. The battle raged for hours. The Scourge, clearly surprised by Earth's unexpected capabilities, suffered significant losses but continued their assault, their determination confirming Emma's theory that Earth held special significance to them. In a desperate move, Emma and Lyra took their ship into orbit, directly engaging the Scourge command. Vessel Lyra's piloting skills and Emma's understanding of Scourge weaknesses allowed them to target critical systems. The command ship's shields failed, leaving it vulnerable to Earth's weapons. The combined attack was successful. The Scourge command ship exploded in a cascade of energy. Without central coordination, the remaining Scourge vessels retreated, jumping to faster than light speed and disappearing from the solar system. Earth had survived, but at a cost. The battle had been visible from the ground. Millions had witnessed the engagement. Reports of alien ships fighting above the planet spread across global media. Emma knew the Confederation's protocols had been irreversibly broken. Earth now knew it was not alone in the universe. The Council would need to adapt to this new reality. Perhaps establish formal contact with Earth, guiding humanity toward eventual membership in the Confederation. It would be a long process fraught with challenges, but Emma and Lyra were uniquely positioned to help bridge the gap between worlds as they prepared to return to Astralis to report to the Council. Emma looked out at her home planet, the world that had shaped her. The people she had left behind now faced a future forever changed by knowledge of life beyond their atmosphere. Emma took Lyra's hand, their resonance bond glowing visible even to human eyes. In repairing Lyra's broken armor, Emma had found not just a partner, but a destiny. Neither of them could have imagined when they first met in a forest on Earth. They had crossed the boundaries between worlds, between species, between different paths of evolution, to find something profound.